Hello friends, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, doing my best to anticipate the questions and have something created to share with you guys to answer said questions. So I've been doing rainbow everything just because I love it, but specifically I was doing, Nouveau shimmer powder backgrounds, and then I did a video using distress spray stains and shimmer mist to create a background. And then, because I knew it was coming, distress oxide spray to create backgrounds. Just if you've missed any of my most recent videos, go back a few days, check them out, and you can see what I'm aiming at here. So trying to keep two similar colors with all of them, hence the rainbow, but also using these different products just to see what'll happen. So like I always say though, try it out. I get a lot of questions like, will XYZ product work? Will this work? Sometimes if I don't have the product, I can't say. But if I do, either I already know or I'm like, I'll do it. So that's what I did. So this time, rather than doing any emboss resist, because I had, a different idea in mind, I just have my Canson XL watercolor paper. I stuck it to my sticky mats, my MISTI sticky mats. That just helps it keep them a little flatter. You could totally tape them down to a hardboard. That works great too. I'm just trying to keep them from curling up really bad because you're using so much liquid. The paper will curl and then everything just starts running off the sides. So then I put them in my splat box, and then I used picked raspberry, mustard seed, and MERMAID LAGOON distress oxide sprays. Sprayed the cardstock or the watercolor paper heavily with water first, just to enable everything to move, and then I just started experimenting. I was spraying, and then I added the Brutus Monroe shimmer mist, which I'm finding for me just works better to just pour it onto my palette and use my fan brush. And the leftover, I scoop it up with the fan brush and scrape it back into the bottle. So don't worry, it doesn't go to waste, because I was like, there's too much to you just can't waste this liquid shimmery goodness. So anyway, I just did it. And honestly, I was like, these backgrounds look like crap. But I followed my own advice and just set them aside, to dry, leave them alone and walk away. And it's the difference is insane, which I'll show in a minute here, how they look when they're dry. So then I pulled out the definite oldie but goodie favorite. This is Simon Says Stamps Beautiful Flowers stamp set. This is like the OG of large floral images. I have done a ton of videos using this stamp set. I will have a playlist link at the end of this video if you've missed any of them. But honestly, any large floral is going to work. And nowadays we have so many options. But when this came out, this was like crazy new. Oh my goodness. It's such a huge image. I just, and again, I obviously was obsessed with it. I've done getting close to 24 videos using this set over the past few years because I love it. And it is still available. But again, any large floral image will work for this. So I have VELLUM in my MISTI. I used my anti-static powder tool, and then I inked up this stamp with clear embossing ink, stamped it onto the VELLUM, and then I'm going to coat it with Simon's Detail White embossing powder. And personally, I love this image because there's a lot of detail to it. It depends on what you're going for. There's other large florals with more, less detail, but more open space. So you can add the detail yourself, with coloring and all the different things. But no matter what, this one's always going to have a soft spot. And yeah, I pull it out from time to time, and now y'all can expect to see more videos using this specific set, because once I pull it out and start using it again, I'm going to do more. And I actually have a video coming right after this using this set because I love it. Anyway, I covered everything with Detail White embossing powder. I melted it with my heat tool. When heating embossing powder on VELLUM, it goes very, very quickly. So you just got to pay attention because it melts fast, and it doesn't take long for VELLUM to start curling and warping and burning. But it melts like a dream. And just like I always do, and as I'm getting older, my eyesight's just not as good as it used to be. Also, I craft in my garage now, so my lighting isn't perfect. So anyway, I tilt it back and forth in light, making sure everything is smooth and shiny and melted, and we're good to go. So I've got those pieces heat embossed. I used the coordinating wafer die. This was another like first, because this wasn't released with the set. It was released because of demand, like later, because this was such a huge wafer die. And everyone was like, really? You know, because, you know, big wafer dies are an investment. But yeah, now it's like, it's so the norm. When I stop and think about how things were like several years ago in crafting and card making and stuff, it's always fun to see how things have like changed and evolved. And anyway, now you see these backgrounds completely different than when they were wet, you know? So I still wasn't like 100% happy with them, mostly because when I'm using sprays, it's hard to have a lighter hand, and I like to muck with it, you know, and mess with it. Follow my advice. Just spray it and then walk away. Let it do its thing. Anyway, I was still going to work with it though. So I cut those backgrounds down. And then I have my card bases that I'm putting in my MISTI. These are going to be top folding A2 cards. So I've lined them up in my MISTI and then lined up this big old floral image again. And then I've masked off with some Post-it tape where the score line is. And then I'm going to ink up this stamp with the 3 same Oxide inks in the same colors of the sprays. So Picked Raspberry, Mustard Seed, and Mermaid Lagoon. And I'm inking directly onto the stamp with these. I've shown in the recent videos, and I've shown in many videos, mushing my ink pads onto a craft mat and then picking it up with a brayer. I thought about doing that with this, but this is a really large image, and I was like, I'll just go direct to paper. And I did, and look how it's gorgeous. The rainbow colors I got, and that inspired what will be the next video. I'm currently editing that one as well, because I was just in a groove, and I got ideas. So this ended up being really bright, and I love it. And I've mentioned this in other videos so often that I was like, what I end up doing on the inside of the card, I was like, this will make a great card. But I don't think I've ever really made the actual card that I say you could do, you know, like I just throw the ideas out there. You guys can, you know, run with them, whatever. But like I said, this time I actually did make cards based on the insides of these cards because I couldn't not. But anywho, I inked up those florals, stamped them, and then I'm using sentiments from the CZ Design Silhouette Sentiment Set. I stamped those on the inside with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and off camera I also white heat embossed the Thinking of You from that same set and then die cut it with the little coordinating wafer dies. And now I'm adhering my sprayed panels to my card base with craft tacky glue. And I've had a lot of questions about adhering vellum. I've shown many different ways, you know, I'll use foam tape and hide it behind the embossing. I've used dabs of glue in strategic areas, my Xyron machine to make it into a sticker. I've mentioned this, I've never actually done it, is applying like just solid glue, like in a solid pattern, whatever, solid, you know, to the back of this, because glue shows through vellum. But if you apply it on the whole piece, you technically don't see it. Now, I'm personally going to say I hated this. I didn't like it. I don't like getting my fingers in glue. Gross. Also, large pieces like this with vellum, it curls because liquid glue. Hello. So it's a pain to deal with. The second piece I did over scratch paper because, you know, I was getting glue all over my work surface. Honestly, I would keep this to smaller pieces, like a sentiment. You know, smaller pieces that you want to adhere. If you don't want to fiddle with foam tape or just any of the other little, you know, methods, you could do this solid bit of glue, just swipe it on the back, but it works so much better on smaller pieces. Big ones like this, I'll never do this again. Never. No, didn't like it. The cards turned out fine in the end. I was happy with it, but mucking with all that glue, and oh my goodness, did I need a lot, because it's a huge image. So if I was to redo this, I would have just placed little dabs strategically behind the more solid areas of the heat embossing, and it would have been fine. And if there had been any areas where the glue seeped out, because that's what I was originally going to do, you cover it with bling and you're good to go. But I tried it. I'm not a fan, but I thought I would include it all in the video anyway. So I got them adhered. And then I adhered the sentiments with, I actually used like little micro foam squares. An even easier option than that is to just die cut multiples of that sentiment just from scraps of cardstock. I've shown that in videos too. It's even quicker than fiddling with foam tape. But again, I was just like, I've got these little foam squares. Why not use them? So I popped up those sentiments with those micro foam squares. And then I added a little extra bling with these Trinity Stamps bubble blower embellishments. They're just iridescent and fabulous. And I'm kind of obsessed with them and need to order more. And they just give that little extra something. So I adhered those, and then I paired these cards with some black envelopes. I have this thing for, you know, really bright, colorful cards going in black envelopes because you just don't know. And then you open the envelope and there's just like this crazy bright card, you know? So that finished off the cards for today. And like I said, stay tuned. I have a video coming right after this using this set and making use of the inspiration of the inside of these cards onto the actual outside of the cards. So stay tuned. That's coming right away. And I will have links, as always, below the video. I'll link to my blog post. I'll have a supply list. I'll link to all the supplies I used. So you can check that out below if you are interested. Thank you all so much for watching and subscribing and thumbs upping and commenting. All the good things. I very much appreciate it. And I'll see you all very soon in the next video. Bye.